of the By the People Festival is sponsored by Halcyon and WUSA 9.
Well, visual and performing artists from around the world are descending on D.C. They'll be taking part in an annual festival called By the People. For a look at one of the artists involved, here's Ariane Dentil.
Bowls. They're pretty useful, right? You pour things in them. You use them for a haircut. Well, in my house, we used it to save up money for a trip to Disney. What about you?
I mean, I remember as a kid back in the 80s having a household change bowl. And I mean, I remember that it was sort of thought to be a way of saving money. And I remember at some point it being contexted as like, this is a way of saving for college.
That's Kelly Adams. She's a ceramicist and one of the artists showing their work at the By the People Festival in DC from June 15th through the 23rd.
And the title of this project is Forever in Your Debt.
Why debt for you? I know you went to Duke undergrad, but did you leave Duke with a lot of debt?
I did. I left Duke with about $35,000 in debt, so it's interestingly very close to the amount that I'm working with for this project, which is the average individual student debt burden currently at $37,000.
Let's play a quick game. How much student debt do you have right now? All right, now try to envision it as a bunch of coins.
The final vision is to have $37,000 situated in physical space. Part of the reason for that is that I think that so much of the problem of student debt is that it's so abstract. And I think that now, I mean, you know, the rate with which tuition increases have happened with respect to even inflation, it's so fast. That idea of the change bowl as a saving mechanism has really become an absurdity.
Right. How much is in here?
Well, this is about 2 pints, I believe. So, and it's very mixed in nature. So I would say probably about $80 worth.
Okay. And so to get to that magic number, you're thinking about 800 bowls will do the trick?
Yes, I think it'll end up being about between 800 and 1,000.
Oh, baby.
Yeah. I decided to paint the bowls or glaze them red on the interior to signify debt, and that slowly then will also become obscured as the bowls fill with change that I'm collecting from visitors. There's a sample bowl on the table by the entrance, and essentially if you fill it with your change and you find that there's enough to fill the bowl, then your name will be added to this logbook that I'm keeping in order to then later receive a bowl.
Yeah. So then what happens with the hopefully $37,000 worth of coins that are collected? Yes. Where do they go?
So that will go toward paying down student debt, both my own and others.
Okay.
There are some debt relief organizations that are working collectively to relieve debt. So ideally 50% of it would go toward my own debt and 50% would go towards that of other people who are struggling and suffering under this immense burden.
Now, By the People is put on by the nonprofit Halcyon and runs through June 15th through June 23rd. The festival follows the themes of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. There's a festival programming in all 4 quadrants of the city, and the various installations and performances are absolutely free. They're open to the public. WUSA 9 is a proud media sponsor of this event, so you can find the entire list of activities through our link on our website at WUSA9.com. Looks pretty cool.